My name is John Cornicello, and I welcome you to my series of live interactive photo conversations. You can check out the schedule at cornicello.com/conversations for upcoming shows and for a list of past shows and recordings. And my guest today is Yvan Bédard. Yvan's an award-winning emeritus university professor, author, and lecturer who now dedicates himself to fine art photography. So let's talk to and welcome Yvan Bédard. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jan, for the introduction. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to some fellow colleagues and photographers. And also thank you to Greg Edwards for the contact. What I will be sharing with you today is the impacts of the pandemia on my business as a photographer, and also how I have reacted to that one, and what I am planning to do, in fact, in the next few months, now that we are controlling more and more this pandemia. So what I'll do is that I will just share some slides that I have prepared. So as you mentioned, I was before a researcher and professor at Laval University, and I was passionate about landscape photography. And I always said to myself, since I was young, that at 55, I would change career because there are too many things that are so exciting to do in life. So although I was very successful at the university, I did it. And at 56, I started a full-time career in fine art landscape photography. And now I do my business is, well, the incomes mostly come from the art galleries. I am represented by 2 art galleries, one in Quebec City and one in Montreal. I teach photo classes in different photo clubs and also in some municipalities. And I sell digital licenses, to books, magazines, and so on. But the problem is that with the pandemia, the art galleries, they closed most of the time. And when they reopened, they did not sell much because there were no tourists. I mean, international tourists mostly are my clients. And so I sold very few photographs in art galleries since the beginning of the pandemia. And also the photo classes, especially the workshops, there was no way to give them. So I have given a few online courses, but it's not the same thing as being in the field with the people or teaching them in class, So those 2 aspects of my business have really went down, and it's a global loss of about 75% of my revenues with regards to photography. I still continue to sell digital licenses. It had really no impact on that part of the business. So in fact, for me, it started as an opportunity, to realize 2 of the dreams I have had about for the last 3 or 4 years. It was to make a chic portfolio to sell series of photographs, and also a nice wooden frame, also to sell series of photographs. That's something that I had been thinking about before, but now it was a time to do it. And the reason mainly was to depend less upon the tourist cycles and to open a new market in relation with my past. Because as a researcher, I worked a lot with private companies. I had a lot of research grants and contracts, for about $1 million a year. I had a large research team and so on. So I do have a lot of contacts, in Canada, in the US, and many countries in Europe as well. So that network, I never really used it for my photography business, but I felt that, well, that's something I should use more. So with my 2 new products, that's something that I wanted to do to compete in the market of chic corporate gift. As you know, you can have, I have had a lot of them, medals and sculptures and paintings and all that. And I wanted to offer something different. So that's what I will present you. And there were some other impacts when doing that. First of all, because I was targeting a new clientele, I needed to build a new website for them. And I wanted to have it transactional so people could buy online. Bilingual, what I will show you is French. It's almost completed. It will be in 2 or 3 weeks. And then I will translate it using WPML to have it in English. And it's built also in a way to facilitate the new online marketing strategy that I am putting in place. Another impact was to, from an artistic point of view, to develop series instead of just selling one photo individually. So when you work on series, that's a different matter, and you don't do the post-processing the same way. And when you go in the field, you don't act the same way also. You look at things differently. And finally, like you would see on most websites, they will present you a photo and you can buy it. But by offering, by offering new products, I needed to build a website that can show my photographs, but that can also show products, which may include several photographs, like a series. So that's kind of a different ballpark, and there was no real themes or templates that I could buy on the web to install in WordPress, or there was no service. You know, my other photographs are in Zenfolio, which is pretty good for what it does, but it didn't do what I wanted to do. So I decided to build my own website using Elementor in the WordPress environment and a few plugins. One thing I have to say also is that I do my own printing. I have had several pro-level printers in the last 15 years. The one I have presently is the Short Color P9000, which prints 44-inch wide rows of papers or canvas. And so I do everything myself, except once in a while that I need to have it printed commercially, like this wall in a small gym. Just a few slides to show you. This is the art gallery where I am at in Quebec City. As you can see, it's very old. It's the area is more than 400 years old. So it's in a very nice historical building. And the other gallery that represent me, and I say represent, but it will be at the end of June represented me, because they will close for good because of the pandemia. But it is in the old Montreal. So as you can see, not only they don't sell a lot since the pandemia, but the second gallery I am represented by in Montreal, he just called me on Saturday saying that he doesn't have the choice. He have to close the doors for good. So it has been very tough on art galleries.
Do you still plan to go back to art galleries?
Oh yeah, yeah. The one in Quebec City is still going on. I know that they don't sell a lot because Quebec City is highly touristic, and same thing for the old Montreal. And because there are no tourists coming from other countries, they don't sell a lot. So, and it will be the same for the whole summer. So, for example, all the tall cruise ships cannot come before 2022. So it is a problem.
Yeah.
So those are just a few photos of my photographs in those art galleries. And I do a lot of exhibitions, solo exhibitions and group exhibitions. This is an example of one of the most recent one I did. But once again, I did not do physical expositions since the end of, since the early 2020s. So, except that I participated in one group exhibition in Melbourne, in Australia, last 2 weeks ago. And there will be one also, a group exhibition in New York City that I will participate to in an art gallery I think it's in the July 6th or something like that, that will open. Anyway, so as you can see, I wanted to build new products for a new customer base, which are corporate clients. You know, those organizations that give corporate gifts to prestigious visitors, as we have we see often that in universities, research centers, or when people retire or after 25 years of service, you know, that kind of thing. So I am really targeting now companies, government agencies, universities, and research centers. And I will start here in Canada, but I have many contacts in the US and in Europe. So I will also build on that as a second step in this improvement of my business. So that's the new target that I have for my clients. It's based, as I said, on my previous network of contacts. And also it's based on my own experience of receiving such corporate gifts from various places. I have received, you know, paintings, large paintings, or paintings I didn't like. So they were too large to put on my wall in my house, or I didn't like them, so they are in the wardrobe as a souvenir. Some watercolorings. I have some medals, some sculptures, also some books, very nice books, collection books, and so on. So I have had several of them, and I knew pretty much what works with me, at least, what didn't work well, and also all the problems to bring back those things. When you receive that in another country, you have to come back and pay for the extra luggages and that kind of thing. So some gift, I almost wanted to let them there. So the first thing I was looking for was a chic portfolio box, you know, to include a series of my photographs. And I have looked at what was available on the web. I have ordered a few of them. I tried it. And although a few were okay, were good, but you know, the price was too high for what they were. They were expensive. For example, something from Italy was very expensive. It was very nice, but much more expensive that I wanted to, you know, paying $500 or $600 for a small portfolio for 8x10 prints. It was too expensive because you don't have enough, you know, you cannot increase the price a lot if you want to sell those to corporate. So you end up selling those boxes and making less money on your own photographs. So I have tried a few. I have ordered a few ones in aluminum, in wood, in various types of components. And I ended up deciding to have my own made with an artisan or an artist, or I don't know how to say that in English, artisan. People who work wood, you know, to build chairs and furniture and all that.
Artisan.
Pardon me?
Artisan.
Artisan? Okay, as in French. Okay, good. So what I wanted to do, and you have here 2 photographs of my new product. I wanted to have something that was chic and also that would fit in a suitcase, that was robust for transportation, and something that you would put on your coffee table or in a bookshelf, and not something that would end up in the wardrobe or in the basement, you know. I wanted something that the recipient would be proud to show to somebody else, not because he received that, but because this is a nice piece of art. You know, you just open that box, and then you can show a series of artistic photographs. That's something also that the recipient, you know, he could be interested to buy more of my photographs to expand his collection of photographs that came with the gift. And also because people, you know, the corporations, they can select among various series of photographs. They can select a series that corresponds to their value and to the value of the person receiving the gift. For example, I was a professor in the faculty of geomatics, engineering, and forestry. And if you give something like this to foresters, well, having a series of photographs about trees means has more meaning, at least to him. You know? So that's the flexibility that it has. And also you can add the name of the corporation or the name of the recipient or the name of the event. If it is an award related to an event, you can have it engraved on the box because it's in wood. So using laser engraving, you can do it. And also I wanted to have something of archival quality, whatever that means. But that means that but it's very likely that the photographs will be in a very good shape in 2 or 3 generations from now. So that's something that they will appreciate and want to give to their, their children and grandchildren. So that's what I have, this, it's made of black walnut, which is the most chic wood here. I can use laser engraving, as I said. It has a magnetic closer, so it's very easy to open and close. It has a matted interior where the photographs are, so it keeps it, so the photographs are not in contact with the wood. There is some space for cotton gloves to manipulate the photographs. There is a white ribbon, just to facilitate also the manipulation of the photographs. Just let me get rid of this so I can see the whole picture there. Okay. I will just stop sharing and show you this is, as you can see, it really looks like a portfolio, and it's nice, but it's also risky. It can be more fragile because of this part. So I have a new version of that box, and I will stop sharing my screen to show you the new version. So that's the new version. I don't have yet a photo here in the stripe, to receive it, to show the content, because I always use a stripe of the photograph representing the collection in there.
That stripe of photo, is that just mounted into there, or is there a slot so it can be changed out or something?
No, it's glued.
It's glued in, so it becomes
Yes.
permanent. Okay.
Exactly, it is permanent. And then in there, as you can see, I can hold it almost vertically. It doesn't fall. So when you receive that, you can open it, and they remain there. Then I can pull the white ribbon and just remove the photographs. So as you can see, it's not exactly the same thing here.
It's a different hinge system.
Exactly. It's more solid, but it's still using magnetic closure. So it's very easy to open and to close. So I will once again share my screen. Or maybe before sharing my screen, just show you, I have tried, as I said, various types. The typical clamshell that we buy to store photographs for archival purposes. I have also tried this, which is very nice. It's all in aluminum. Yes, that's it's made in California, and I had my logo engraved. But when you want to open it, it's so tight that it creates suction, and it's very difficult to have it open and to close. It's too tight, so the air does not circulate well, and it's like, it's not easy to use. So I have a few other ones like that I have ordered, that I have tried, and they did not satisfy me. So I
thank you for doing the research for all of us.
Yeah.
Save our R&D costs.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Do you see my display or?
No, I see your notes now.
Okay. Okay, there. Okay, I'm not sharing the good one. Share that one. Okay.
Good.
Okay, so just it's not nice nice one. I have to remake it but it's just to show that's something that will go on my website, but it will be longer. So just to give you an idea of what I want to explain. Okay, that's the first product. The second one is a wooden frame, something which is very chic. That I designed and collaborated with the framer of the museum here, the National Museum. We came out with something once again made of black walnut. I wanted to have the portfolio box and the frame being done with the same wood. And also, I also wanted to have something that fits in a suitcase, that is robust for transportation, something that is chic, that the recipient would want to show to his visitors, and I will explain you why later. Something that saves space. You know, a lot of time people tell you, well, I don't have space on my walls, you know, I don't want to have a large painting or a large photograph. I want maybe something small. Well, I designed something that you can put in the back of the frame other photographs, and it has been designed and tested, and I went to 3 or 4 prototypes, and now I have something that is very easy to open and change the photo in your frame. So that's the idea, you know, to have the facility or the easiness of changing the photograph in your frame. Let's say once every season. So that's why I called it a 4-season frame. So people may change their photo every season. I also have a version for 8 photographs, or an 8-season frame for a series. So it's very simple to change without using tools. It takes less than 1 minute. This is why people will want, you know, the recipient of those frames, they will want to show it to people because it's a neat idea. So they will say, hey, look at this. They take the frame out, just open it and show the other photographs in the back. And they can expand it by buying more photographs from me if they want to expand their collection of photographs. And once again, you can select a series of photographs that fits with the value of your organization and the value of the recipient of the gift.
Are these prototypes, or are you actually producing some of these now?
Okay, I have those produced for me, but they are the final versions.
Great. And do you do a kind of custom size print so it's easier for people to order new prints from you than to get them from someone else who won't fit?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I do custom fit or custom sizes photographs. Those 2 products can be made to a custom size. However, they are done presently for 6x9 photographs on 8 and 11 by 11, 8.5 by 11 paper, photo paper.
Okay.
And this is the standard size. I do this because larger photographs are limited to 10. Those are limited editions of 10. I have 3 sizes, 12 by 18, 24 by 36, and 40 by 60 inches. And they are limited to 5 for the larger one, the largest one, 10 for the medium one, and 15 for the smallest one. And those are what I call miniature ones that go into those frame and into the portfolio. So there is no, those are open editions at that size. So if someone wants to have a frame like that, I have had one made for a 12 by 18 inch prints, but that was very big and not easy to transport for the recipient. So I decided to stick with the smaller
For
ones.
these, do you tend to do all horizontals or all verticals in a series?
No, well, I do it for artistic reasons, but sometimes people ask me to create a custom series for them. Well, for the people that they want to give it to. For example, there was one guy who retired for the National Defense of Canada last February. And the one person who knew him very well, in fact, it was his wife, she went to my other website and she selected, I created for her so a few private galleries because she told me, well, he did travel to this place and that place and that place, and now he's dreaming about going to this and that place. It happened that I had been to all of them. So I created the private galleries with my best photograph of those places, and she selected some horizontal and some vertical photographs. So, but you will see the way it works. I will show you. I use, that frame is made also to be used horizontally or vertically. It uses a non-reflective glass, and not only it fits with horizontal and vertical images, but also it fits perfectly on the wall. And it's not a cable behind it. So the frame does not hang, you know, a little bit in front. It really fits perfectly on the wall. And you will see in my short video how it opens and how it closes. It's very easy, no tool, it's very fast. And it's also of archival quality. And there is room for up to 10 photographs in there. I sell my series of photographs by groups of 4, 8, or the complete series. Usually a series is between 15 and 25 photographs at the maximum. So here is this video that will show you how it works.
It seems easy enough.
Yeah, it cannot be easier. Yeah, 45 seconds in this example. So, whoops, okay. So as I said, I sell those series of photographs. As I said, they are 6 by 9 inches, standard size. And I sell them my series of 4, 8, or the complete series, which could be anywhere between 15 and 25.
But you said the box only holds 10?
Pardon me?
The box holds 10 images?
Yes, it could hold, I mean, the box, the portfolio box can hold up to 30, 35, no problem.
Okay.
The frame holds up to 10. Could be a little bit more. It would be very easy to have one, to add one layer of polypropylene and to add another 5 or 6, no problem. And obviously people can always order, you know, they say, well, I have, you know, in this series, for example, this one here, which looks like a horse. Well, I would like to have that printed 40 by 60 inches, so they can order it, obviously. So they can match a large print with a small one in the series.
Can we ask a question?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Do you put vellum between each of the photos?
I don't. I could. I have the vellum paper here, but I don't. I use archival quality fine art paper from Breathing Color, and I have not seen problems of ink, letting marks on the back of the prints. So, and so far, I don't feel that I need to add the vellum.
Thank you.
There is also a lot of documents that I include with them. I will just show you another PowerPoint where I have my documents. You see, this is an example of the certificate of authenticity. This is for a single photograph, vertical or horizontal. And this is a certificate of authenticity. As you can see, everything is bilingual. I always change that strip here according to one of the photographs in the series. This one is one example of that person I talked about from the National Defense who retired.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in one of his photographs. I also have here, it's not the true one, but that's where I place my holographic seals. They cannot be reproduced. And if you try to tear them out, they will just tear and they will break, so you cannot remove them. So they are very safe certificates, not certificates, but seals. And I always indicate on which paper I use, to print, the ink set that I use, and so on. So I put some technical information in there. Everything is also in inches and centimeters. And for example, this one is a unique edition. And so it's always indicated. I also produce certificates of archival quality because I use archival quality paper and archival quality inks, and I indicate where this information comes from, either the Willem Imaging Research Lab or the Blue Wool test in the UK. I also have a short bio, so they can talk about their photographs, but also about the artist when they present what they have received. Just a few pages like this one, to congratulate them for acquiring their new collection. Or if they buy only one print, that's the same thing. I also include some instructions for conservation because some people in art galleries, I have worked in art galleries, in 3 different art galleries. And sometimes people ask, well, I don't want to invest $1,000 or $2,000 on a photo print because after 10 years they will yellow. No, I have to explain them, it's not the case. And also, even if we use the best material, I give them some instructions for conservation. And I also tell them, as you can see here, don't worry if you don't meet these conditions, since the superior quality of the material used for this print will preserve all its qualities for many years. But it's important to add this because I also give a lifetime guarantee to my clients. So if it becomes yellowish or if it starts fading, send it back to me and send me the original certificate of authenticity, and I will send you a new one. But they have to pretend at least that they followed the instructions for conservation, obviously. And also just one additional page to explain them that it's a unique product. There are proofs of originality, and also they are highly limited editions. As I say, while some photographers offer limited editions of 500, 1,000 or 5,000 copies, mine are respectively limited to 5, 10, and 15. And even at that, there are buyers in art galleries that will say, if it's not unique, I don't buy it. But when I tell them, well, My equipment is much more expensive than the equipment of a painter, and I cannot imagine the scenery in my head. I have to travel and go to in the field, you know, to make those photographs. So it's much more expensive to produce a photograph than to produce a painting. And also, when people receive my, you know, either the frame or the portfolio, there is this page in there that offers them a discount of 20% if they want to buy something more in the next 30 days, either to complete their collection or to start a new collection. So that's an opportunity for them to increase their collection of photographs. Here are just a few examples. That's typical of the page, an introductory page that I give with each collection, with each series of prints. And I have this presentation of all the images in the series with their own title. And I have the information for each of them about where that photo was made. I have a contextual, 1 or 2 contextual photos, like, you know, the guy who retired from the National Defense. Well, there were some photos from Utah and some photos from Switzerland. So those are 2 trails that I have used to make the photographs he had, his wife had selected for the series.
I have to ask, is that your shadow in that photo?
Yes, it is. But I didn't want to move 3 feet on the left to avoid it, or on the right, not, so that's my shadow. And also this was a photo taken by somebody else. So it's something that I add without charging for it, but people like to have this. Yeah, that's it. So that's about the kind of information I provide to the people with my either one individual prints or when they buy a series of prints like that. So let's go back to, okay, the next thing. As I told you, I had to build a new website. So it's not completed yet, but I'll show you what it is at this time. So that's my new website. And I have a menu here that leads people to my photographs, to the shop, the services I offer, and then I target, you know, enterprise gift and some more information. So if I click on this, it brings me to this place where I talk about my photographies. Can bring you down there where I talk about my enterprise gift or corporate gift, and to the services I offer. You know, I have presented more than 200 conferences in 30 countries, so I'm used to present conferences, no problem at all, teaching or giving information, and also to simulate what my photograph would look on their wall. So people send me once in a while a photograph of the wall where they want to put it, and I send them simulations of various sizes and of 2 or 3 different scenes that they would like to see there. So that's the kind of service that I offer them. And here I have a list of all the many states and countries that I have clients who have bought my prints, just to convince people that there are a lot of collectors and clients all over the world. Sorry. Then, if I click on photographs, this brings me to a place where I can show my photographs without bothering about the various products. So I have classical landscapes, more eccentric ones, and I have VIP series people. I just give an example of 3 series that are VIP series, but when people become VIP, then they can show my prints before everybody else. So they can buy it before the others also. They are invited every time there is a vernissage, you know, an opening for an exhibition and things like that. If I go to, let's say, classical series, this one that many of you know, that place. So you can look at the photos and just go through a carousel of those photographs. This is very typical of what we see on websites for photographs. I have one here about Venice, but it's what people don't see usually in Venice. Those narrow, unvisited streets. So that's the kind of series that I put there. And those more eccentric ones, those are like, well, this one is very interesting because it's at low tides when the sun dries the salt, they make various shapes. So I made a series of these because they look like Rupest art, I think they say in English, like the drawings made by men 3,000-4,000 years ago.
Yeah, cave dweller drawings.
Yes, exactly. It looks like that, but this is salt, salt from the ocean on those rocks. And I gave them the name of an animal for each of them. So they make a nice series.
Do you find that the manipulated photos sell well?
If the manipulated photos sell well?
Yeah.
I will show you these. Not as much, not as well, but they sell, I would say, my bet is that they will sell more as series. For example, this is a technique that I have developed based on the solarization approach that Man Ray developed for artistic purposes in the 1920s. The fact that I simulate that on the computer is, instead of having something which is more accidental as it was during the film days, I control more what I do. But that's why I don't call it exactly solarization. I call it luminarization because it's based on a mask based on the lights. You know, everything which is darker becomes lighter and the colors are inversed. So what is orange becomes blue and so on. So it's an inversion of tonalities and colors. And those photographs were made in the Mega Islands on the North Shore region of Quebec. It's a very isolated region, a wild region. And I found that by using the luminarization technique, those monoliths looked like icebergs. So that's why I called that series Monolithbergs, combination of the two terms. So that's the kind of thing that people like. But as I said, they prefer that as a series than as only one photo.
What have you found sells well in galleries for you?
Things like, I will show you. In my examples, I will present you later on some of my photographs. Mostly what I sell in art galleries are minimalist photographs of winter scenes because, you know, a lot of my clients are tourists and Canada is about lands, you know, huge lands and winter. So I combine them in my minimalist winter photographs and that sells very well. So here is another example. You know, a lot of you have been to Antelope Canyon. This series is once again using luminarization or solarization in that case, I would say, closer to that. And each of them, in my imagination, there was a story. For example, in the first one, there is like a silhouette of a mysterious visitor here.
Yes, I see that.
And then this is, you know, the part of a woman who tells him to come in. You know, that's the head is above, you know, so that's just the upper part of her body, and this is her hand here. And she's saying, she is welcoming the guy. And then they start smoking pot, you know, marijuana, and that's how they feel. You know, you have the eyes of the guy, the nose, and his cigarette of marijuana. No, it's all distorted. Then they start kissing each other. You see one face here, and you see the other face here. So they are going to kiss each other. You see the eye, the nose, the mouth, the eye, the nose, the mouth, the chin, you know. I have sold, by the way, this one in an art gallery, as well as the next one, which is a naked woman. You see the back of a naked woman with her long hairs. So, you know, it calls for a lot of imagination for everyone to see it. But when you keep looking at the series, that's where they make love. And then you see the guy on the top of the woman. And then you see the woman here who has become, she is pregnant. And then this is an echography where you can imagine that there is a baby somewhere and the head is there. That's the echography of the woman. And then in the last one, it's still like an echography, but we don't see if there is still a baby or not. So that's the end of the story.
Nice.
So, you know, that series, I had it, I sent it to, I think it's Aperture in New York City, where they assess your portfolio. And they were very impressed by this series. So it's quite unique, you know, something that all came out from Antelope Canyon.
Nice.
So, yeah, I could keep on like that for the photographs, but now I want to show you the boutique. The boutique is exactly where you can select the kind of product you want. The 4-season frame, the 8-season frame, the wood box with 8 photographs or with a complete series, and then a collection of 4 photographs, a collection of 8 photographs, or a complete collection of photographs, or a unique photo. And when you have selected one of them, you can select also if you want square, horizontal, or vertical. You can select, okay, I want it in the series, let's say in the eccentric, one of the eccentric series. And I can select the dimension if it's a miniature, a studio, gallery, or largest one, the museum size, and so on. The medium also, fine art paper, fine art canvas, or the Belgian linen that was used, you know, the famous Belgian linen that was used by all those famous painters of the European period from 1600 to up to recently. This is much more expensive, but the result is very nice. So people can select the medium. And all the rest is, well, I just go to the, that's more traditional WooCommerce stuff, you know. You just go to select exactly what you want. The more precise sizes, or you can have it made on demand, you know, to the size you want. And the medium that is available. Once you have selected, let's say, one size, the medium that is available depends upon the size. So for some sizes, you don't have the same choice of medium than for other sizes. Okay. Let's go back. Services. I just explained them into more details, the kind of conferences I can give, types of courses, and the service to simulate photograph on the wall. Then if I go to enterprise gift, I just explain more the portfolio, the frame, and the collections. And also I offer discounts if they buy a certain amount of those gifts. And then I have more information about myself and bio, the artistic statement, and some of the recent awards that I had, in the last 18 months. I received 18 of those awards, from finalist to final selection to being the winner of the competition. So it shows very much that the work, it's not only for photographic competition, it's also competition in visual arts. And this is where, and I go back to one of your questions, John, this is where the most processed photographs have success. It's not among photographers, it's among artists who like paintings and watercolorings and things like that. This is where I sell my most processed photographs.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then I have started to write some blogs, what types of frames to choose, 25 citations to understand my nature as a photographer and so on. And it's always the same style, as you can see when I go through my website. And yeah, that's even the choice of those photographs that I bought from a stock market website. They all have the same colors and style to be uniform. And all my, my business card and all my documents follow that same design. So this is it. So that shows about what I have done. So I don't know if there are people with questions before I show some examples of the kind of photography that I do and I sell. And, yeah.
But do people have questions for Yvan about what we've seen so far? Please unmute and ask your questions. Michael, you're muted.
Okay, I always
There.
have questions.
I know.
So I'm a little confused about, I know you're selling your portfolios and the case, but do you also just sell the case?
No.
No.
I don't sell the case.
Okay. And so the images that are in the case that's made out of wood, is there anything that is going to prevent the fumes from the wood or whatever is coating the wood from affecting any of the prints?
There is the mat that we use. There is a mat in the bottom of the wood case, okay, the wood box. So the paper, the photographs are not in contact with the wood.
What about the fumes?
I mean, what do you mean fumes?
Fumes, is there any off-gassing from the wood?
Okay, not supposed to, because that wood is very stable. And I know that they use very, very thin layer of varnish, but it's a natural varnish. There is no petroleum in there. It's something that it's exactly the same varnish that he uses for the natural for the National Museum of Art here in Quebec City. So this guy has been working with them for probably 20, 25 years. And so it is used to make things that have to be archival quality. The photographs, on the top of the photographs, this is where I put my extra information, about all the certificates and all that. So at the bottom and on the side of the box, there is a paper mat that is archival quality. And on the top, there is my certificates. So the papers don't touch the wood. And about the emanation of gas, I don't feel that there would be a problem there because of the experience of the guy who has built those.
Where do you sign, or do you sign each of the prints, and where do you sign them?
Okay, in all my prints, the larger ones, I always sign within the print, not on the margin, but in the print, like painters do. So it gives more freedom to people to frame the print the way they want, with or without a mat, for example. A lot of people buy gallery wrap frames when it's printed on canvas. But for those small prints, what I have done in so far is I have signed in the margins and I have put only my initials. But that's something I plan to change. Why did I put only my initials instead of a full signature? It's because I wanted to prevent people who buy a collection to start, because when I sell a collection, it's less expensive per photograph than buying them individually. So I wanted to prevent people buying a collection and starting to sell them full price individually. That's why I did not sign them completely with a complete signature. That's something that I have learned from someone who is a specialist with series in one of, that's a 2-day class that I took with a specialist here in Montreal. So, but I will probably go back to a signature, but that will be in the margins. But if I put it in the margins, the problem will be that people won't see my signature in the frame. And if I sign in the print, as I do with my larger prints, well, it takes a lot of space in a small print. While it's not the case if I sign manually 40 by 60 inch print. So I'm still not decided about the final solution, but that was a very good question. If you have any suggestion, don't hesitate.
Cool. Does anyone else have questions about what we've seen so far?
Wait a minute.
Shoot in color?
Pardon me?
How is the corners of the wood pieces connected? You have a
That's right,
right angle connection between the wood. How are they doing?
You mean the type of joints?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, are they dovetail or?
I will show you. Oh, okay, yeah. That's, I don't know what is the technical term for that. I will show you this. You see it now?
No, we're not. I'm sorry, we stopped
okay,
sharing.
I have to share. Okay, let me share the screen. This one. So now you see it?
Spline.
So, okay, so there is no nail. There is only glue. And this is maple.
It's
those white.
It's a 45-degree connected with a spline.
Exactly, exactly. So it has a very nice style.
Yes.
I like it very much.
And Michael was starting to ask if you do color work, which I see you do, but everything you've shown in the boxes so far has been black and white.
Yeah, that's true, because those are the photos that I have made of my products and so far.
But you do shoot in color too.
Oh yes, most of the time I am in color, and I will show you, I have more examples of that in color, but I will show you my other types of my photographs that I usually make. It's just that for my website, I wanted to use something black and white just to be in the style of the website.
Hmm. Yeah, so let's go look at some of your photos.
Okay.
Do you have a gallery in the New York metropolitan area?
No, no, the one I will be exhibiting in, that's a group exhibition. I don't remember the name. I would have to look for it later on and give it to you. But that's
That's the one
organized
coming
by,
up in July.
that's organized by it's called the print swap. It's very simple. It's not a prestigious thing, but the print swap is organized by someone who is in charge of feature shoot. Right? Yeah, feature shoot. And what she does is that you can submit photographs, and then they select photographs for the next exhibition, and they will print themselves the photo in a small format, and they will send you back the photograph that you can pick from somebody else who has been accepted. That's why it is called the print swap.
Yep.
So it's about 50 or 60 US dollars. And it gives you the opportunity to have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 photographs exhibited in a gallery. So as I said, it's not prestigious, but I would say with the pandemia, that's the only way I found to have an exhibition without too much hassle, a physical exhibition because of the pandemia, you know. That's why I have used this. And it works well. When they accept your photograph, you will receive the photograph of somebody else from another part of the world. Well, so it's nice. The other exhibitions they have contributed to are online exhibitions.
By and large, what's the average price you sell your images?
Standalone images?
Yes.
Let's say 12 by 18 frame is about 900, let's say in US dollars, about 600 US dollars. And the largest one at 40 by 60 inches is about $1,400, $1,200.
Do you always sell your images framed?
In art galleries, no. One of the 2 art galleries prefer to have the prints framed. The other one wants only unframed images. So the smaller ones are paper prints, the larger ones are canvas prints. And when they are on canvas, they are on a gallery wrap frame. And he prefers to have that because one of the reasons why people don't buy painting or photograph in an art gallery is sometimes because they don't like the frame.
What type of canvas do you? Do you print your own canvas prints?
Yes, I do, and I use a highly textured canvas.
Made by who?
Breathing Color in Texas.
What was that?
Breathing Color.
Britain Color?
Yeah. Breathing Color in Texas.
Breathing.
Breathing. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Breathing Color in Texas. They make very fine papers and very fine canvas. Most of what I print, I use their product. Also because I don't need to have them shipped by plane. So for environmental reasons, that's also something I like to do, to have them made in North America.
And do you find putting that canvas into your printer what we call here in the United States a pain in the rear end?
No, not at all. No problem at all.
I'm putting the link to Breathing Color into the chat.
Okay. They do have very nice products. Expensive though, but very nice products. And they have certificates of authenticity also for their paper and canvas, for those which are of archival quality. So I use that also when I sell my my photographs. I add those certificates to my own. So let's go through some of the examples of photographs that I sell in art galleries. For example, this one, which in fact took me 3 years to make. You know, when there is that first snow that is sticky and humid, and it sticks on the trunks, but if you wait 2 or 3 hours, it will all melt down. So I needed to find a place close to my house because I had the vision of doing something like this. So I found a place near to my house where I had those trunks that I could go back away enough to be able to frame them properly. But the problem was that they were facing west. And most of the time when there is a snowstorm or the first snows in fall, the wind comes from the east. So from the west, so the snow was never on the right side of the trunks. But after 3 years, you know, it just happened that the weather was right and the wind was exactly in the good direction. So I immediately went to that spot and was able to make those that photograph, which sold very well in art galleries. In 40 by 60 inch print, it's very impressive. It feels like 3D, it really does. That's another example of, I like to make photographs during bad weather in winter. In that case, it was raining. And what I like is that you see the texture of the roof of that barn. There is ice that starts to appear where there is a nail on the roof. So for every nail on the roof, there is that patch of ice. That's very special. So that's the kind of texture that probably happened on the ones. And I was there to make that photograph. That's another example of a photo that sells very well. Also the first snow in December, and then it started to rain in the afternoon. And at the end of the day, that was the kind of scene that we would see. Sorry. Another one with rain after the snow, and it was icy and all the branches were looking down. And so it's, yeah, it's a very nice situation. So as you can imagine, I live in a rural area and not in a city. I am 35 kilometers outside of Quebec City. So this one was at the beginning of a snowstorm as well. If one look at carefully, you will see that the snow it's not really falling, it's going almost horizontally because there were strong winds. Another one like that. There was one I could not print myself because a client in Toronto wanted it printed 48 by 48 inches. So I had it printed commercially by one of the best guys here in Quebec to print photographs. And the result came out very, very nice. This scene looks very much like where I live. That's the St. Lawrence River in the background. And once again, it was raining. And so that's why the sky is dark like that. This is during a snowstorm. This is an abandoned sawmill close to my place. This is very minimalist. There was a very heavy fog in winter for that day. Very unusual to have fog in January. This is over the St. Lawrence River, down towards Montreal. This is what we call sea clouds because of the gradient of temperature, you know, between the water and the sky. So those kind of clouds form regularly along the St. Lawrence River. So I put it in black and white and gave this result. This is close to my place, about 12 kilometers from home. This is a very special scene, very strange place. This one is the famous Montmorency Falls in Quebec City. It's higher than Niagara Falls. So I stood there with a long focal length. I think it was 400 millimeters, if I remember well. And I used a long lens because I wanted to have, people that go on the Sugarloaf to look closer to the fall than they are in reality. So using a long lens, it would flatten the perspective, the distance. And also I didn't frame the top of the fall, so it would look larger, bigger, and more impressive. I have won 2 awards with that photograph. I was there for about 1 hour waiting for people, to go up and down, the Sugarloaf. This one I took last March in a river close to my place. I wanted to make a photographs of the ice wall, but with the blue color of the sky going through the ice. So I wasn't sure if I would find such a place, but I found it, but it was so small, it was about, I would say it's 3 feet high. So walking behind that ice wall without my tripod and equipment and so on, I had installed my 14 millimeters lens on my full frame camera, and then I was able to take that photo that I entitled "The Cathedral." I am very lucky because I live very near, about 200 feet from a natural reserve where there is a marsh, and it's very quiet early in the morning. So that's the kind of photograph that I can make. So those are insofar. Beside that one I have not sold it yet, but all the other ones are the kind of photographs that I sell in art galleries, and I print them large most of the time. And I print them most of the time on canvas, and people love it because in some cases they think it's a painting and not a photograph. And that's why also I use a highly textured canvas. It's because it gives them more a feeling of a painting. So once again, it's close to my house, That's me. That's I was using my camera and then just using the 10-second delay and starting to run and place myself there, and then come back and look at the result and run again, go there, wait for the picture to be taken, come back and check. And so there is a house just in front of it. They must have, if they have seen me, they must say that they must have said that, well, there is a guy who is crazy in front of our house. That's, but I like a lot to make photographs with smog. Like that one. That one was won the bronze medal of the International Epson Pano Awards, so that's a nice one. I like panoramic images. This one is just there because I wanted to show you my village. It's a very small village, 4,000 people on the shore of the St. Lawrence River. And in our place, the tides are still 15 feet high. So the landscape changes a lot twice a day. It's fantastic for photography. Okay. So that's in my place as well, that kind of photograph. I like to photograph rocks and trees mostly. This one is, it's technically a very nice photograph. I took an exposure of 1 or 1.5 seconds to create kind of a movement here in the water. But I have shown that one to you because this one was very special for me because I went there with my father and with my parents when I was young every year. At during fall, when the colors were at their maximum. But there was one time I went with my father only because my mother was pregnant and I was 6 years old. And I had a very good souvenir, but I never was able to make again that feeling in my photographs. And then I had an idea. I went very, very close in the water with my tripod and my boots, and I took that photo. And then I said, yeah, that's it. Because when I was at 6 years old, I imagined that scene was very, very big, you know, that the bridge in granite was very big, but it's not that big. But when you are 6 years old, it looks big.
I know. It's when I was a kid, snow used to be hip deep. And as I got older and older, it got less and less deep.
Yeah, exactly. So when I made that one, I was so glad that it really represented what I felt, what I wanted to produce. So that's the kind of scenery that I have in my region.
Cool.
And I sell them in art galleries. You saw, I was talking about a horse.
Mm-hmm.
This one is like a snail.
Yeah.
This one is like an anemone, and so on. This one, it's just one of a series of several photographs I take about that tree here on the right side. I have several photographs at different weather conditions at different times of the day. And I even have one with the Neowise comet that came last July.
Mm-hmm.
And on July 10 this year, not July, June 10th this year, the sun will rise exactly at that place, and it will be a solar eclipse, and it will be hidden 75% by the moon. So I will only have a crescent of the sun. So I really hope that it won't be cloudy, because I want to have that shot in my series.
Great.
And also I do a lot of photographs of old houses and buildings, because in my village is almost 325 years old. So there are several of those old French style houses around. And once I had a contract to photograph all the houses that were more than 100 years old. And there are about 125 of them in my village. So I will obviously make a series with some of those houses as well.
Mm-hmm.
This one is one I took in Newfoundland. This is an abandoned house that I like very much. I was there to photograph two things: abandoned houses and icebergs. So this one is my favorite for the abandoned houses. And this one of the icebergs was selected by the COP26 United Nations conferences that will happen in Glasgow in November. So this one it's presently going all around the world. The British embassy selected it to represent the impacts of climate changes in Canada.
Nice.
So that iceberg is traveling all over the world, even though it only came from the Arctic. It gets to go out everywhere.
That photo will travel all over the world. And so that's, yeah, they have printed it and framed it and sent it to several embassies and commissaries, and it will be during the symposium, it will be exhibited. And yeah, that's a nice.
So when we were talking about putting this together, you had mentioned your concern with eco-friendly products. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, that's one of the things, you know, when I wanted to, when I was deciding on the design of my frames, and my Four Seasons frame and my portfolio, because of yeah, environmental reasons, I wanted to make something that is as eco-friendly as possible. So that's why I have selected to work with the black walnut, which is the most exotic local tree. Also, the paper, as I said, is made in North America, my photo paper. I wanted it to be made locally with artisans. So Yeah, and everything I try to do when I ship it, I try to reuse as much as possible existing material instead of buying new material to ship my stuff all over the world. So yeah, I try to be more respective of the environment, respectful of the environment. Personally, I have reduced by 90% my use of airplanes. And when I use it for traveling, I pay to have trees planted.
So sort of a carbon offset.
Pardon me?
A carbon offset?
Yes, exactly. So I pay for that every time. And I have reduced the usage of my car by 30%. So that's in a way my contribution. And I buy mostly now local food and bio food as much as possible. So yeah, that's my little contribution. And also I say to myself that by presenting nice photographs of nature, people will be more careful about nature because usually we are more careful about things that we like.
Cool. Well, I want to open up to, is there more questions? Jeff's asking, how do you pronounce your name?
In French or in English? In French, we say Yvan Bédard. In English, people say Yvan Bédard.
So if I call you Yvan, that's all right?
Yvan is acceptable too. Yeah, people who know Yvan Colloyer from the...
I go around and around with French people on how to pronounce the damn names. I spent a lot of time with Alain Briot.
Yeah.
And when we're teaching together, I end up picking up this half-baked Chicago French accent. I ended up pronouncing stuff the way kind of he was. But I wanted to ask you, I actually think I may have driven by how far off of you are you off of Route 138?
I am right on Route 138.
So I've driven right by your fucking house.
Is that right? When was that?
Well, no, a couple of years ago for my anniversary, I looked for the most romantic city in North America that we could drive to. And by all accounts, Quebec City, particularly the old town of Quebec City. So we drove from Chicago to Quebec City.
Wow.
And we took, although getting to Canada, going through Windsor, that was a pain in the ass. But we stopped outside of Toronto, we stopped in Montreal, but everywhere I picked the most picturesque routes, and Route 138, and we went through Newville. That's how you pronounce it?
Yes.
And we actually stayed at Hotel 71 in Quebec City.
That was next to the art gallery where I was.
Well, that's what I was asking, because I remember walking the whole area, because having a car in Old Town Quebec is a pain in the ass. But one of the reasons I stayed at that hotel was they had parking. I had to pay for it, but at least they had parking. I didn't have to worry about street parking. And for our anniversary dinner, I went to, I got a reservation at Initial.
Yeah.
Which now I just looked on the map, it's permanently closed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then also the Isle of Orleans, we drove all the way around that and stopped at some galleries and got some, what was it, the fudge or something? I can't remember what it was that we got. But I very much like the St. Lawrence Seaway and get a kick out of seeing your images. I've got some interesting shots from Quebec City, particularly from the Isle of Orleans back over into Quebec City.
Yeah.
But I very much get a kick out of your work and your accent. I'm attracted to French accents, also Scottish and Irish. I like all of those accents. So when is your new website going to launch?
3 weeks, 4 weeks in French, and the English version, I hope by early July, something like that.
Okay, because I know I went to your website and most of it is in French.
Yes, presently it's all in French.
Well, except for your bio, you've got
Yeah, the bio has
which
an
one?
English
I
version.
have two websites, the new ones and the old ones. The old ones is Yvan Bédard, photonature.com.
That's the one that I went to.
Okay, yeah. This one is French with a few sentences in English. And most of the time I use the words in French that were almost the same in English, so people could guess.
Anyway, so I thought I'd compliment you on your stuff.
Thank you.
You have an interesting mix of kind of business, technology, and art. So that tends, the most successful photographers that I know have kind of a broad degree of background. Two of the
Yeah, we didn't
classes-
even really talk about his background as a professor working
Well,
on
I got a
mapping
little bit of that.
technology.
So anyway, thanks for coming and talking to, it's a hard group. I mean, we're a tough audience.
I like that. I don't worry about that.
And so how do you pronounce photography?
Photographie in French, photographie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Very
just
cool.
love it. I love it because
Photography.
photography, you know,
Yeah.
it is how you say in French,
Yeah.
photography.
Cool. Well,
I'll just go rapidly through the last
Well, I'm glad to
ones.
see Jeff likes the Irish accent as well. Sorry.
thanks, John.
Yeah,
Very
well,
well.
no, I mean, if I spend time around you, John, I'd be picking up when my friend Anthony Hobbs was over and we were hanging around in Chicago. His daughter is here in Chicago. And by the time he left, he said, you know, you're starting to sound a little Irish. And I said, well, I can't help myself. You know, it's been time around you. And I just,
You need
I absorbed
to
the
come over,
accent.
Jeff,
huh?
you need to come over and drink some Guinness. When you drink Guinness, it'll get even better.
Very
Well,
cool.
I've bathed in Guinness before.
We won't go
Okay,
into
good.
that. Let's go back to Yvonne.
And that's a lot of Guinness.
So those
Good,
are
Ivan.
photographs that I have already presented.
Yeah, I'm going to
you.
start your share again.
Yeah. Okay. There.
There we go.
So that's one luminarization photos that you see the darker areas are reversed in tonality and colors. Same thing here. So that gives a very unrealistic scenes sometimes, like this one, but it adds to the feeling of a region. This one has been selected, by the way, by 2 awards in the world of visual arts. That's the one I just talked about before, the monolith bergs, transforming monoliths in icebergs. And then some that you know, most of you, you know, those are classical places that we have made photographs, almost all of us. That's at Lac Louise in Alberta. This one, Jeff and Greg, we were together for that one. A few years, well, several years ago, I would say, with Alain Briot. And obviously, probably everybody took that one, but my favorite is this one. That's that Bodhi that all of us know almost. This one was in somewhere in a secret place in Utah with wild horses. I spent 3 half days photographing them, but they never come close, and it's a difficult topic to photograph. That is in Valley of Fire near Las Vegas. That's the north and south window arches. in the Arches National Park.
I was just going to say, where are the people? But I think I see a red shirt in the middle of that one.
Yes, there is one, only one. I rarely have people in my photographs. I try not to have them.
Mhm.
This one at Shipwreck was planned one day before the full moon. So the contrast between the full moon and the sky is not too high, as opposed that when it is really the day of the full moon. So it is only one shot, you know, that's the advantage of having a high dynamic range on our sensors. This one is in Venice, in Italy, slightly different view than what everybody makes when they go there. This is in Cinque Terre in Italy. Once again, very different from what people photograph usually. This is in Tuscany in Italy. I was living on a farm, and that tree, I was seeing it when I was waking up, when I went there for dinner, or when I was going to bed, you know. So I took several photographs of that tree, and for that particular one, and there is no post-processing at all on this photograph, I went there to make photograph different from what people were doing. So I didn't want to have all those green fields. So it really just started to be green. As you can see, it's like a 3D beard, you know. The grass was just starting to grow, and the color of the earth there is more like sand. And so it's light brown. And for that photo, there was a sun through a very thin cloud that was sending the light on the hill. But here behind in the valley, it was cloudy. So you have a shadow, the shadow of clouds here, and here you have some sunlight. So it really looks like a painting. I have sold several of them in art galleries. Well, that's very typical of what we do when we go to Europe. We drink wine. I have just put this one to, that's my favorite place on the French coast, the French Riviera, Côte d'Azur. You know, that's Antibes. It's between Cannes and Nice. And depending upon the light, you have very different scenes. I have been there for 3 months. This one I took in the Aegean Sea in the Greek islands. This one, the same thing. Those ones in the Sahara Desert in Morocco. This one on the North Shore in Quebec in a very isolated village. This one won an award and was selected also for a book on visual arts. It's an eye. If you look at this, it really lasted for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. The sun was really tangential to the cliff, and that made this shape, which looks like an eye. So the title of that was something like "This rock is looking at me," or something like that. And this is a series I made of those are abstract photographs, but in fact these are the roofs of the chapels of some chapels in Santorini in the Greek islands. So I went there especially to make those types of abstract photographs.
Nice.
And it is very difficult because those chapels are between, you know, among other buildings. So it's very difficult, and the streets are so narrow. So it's very difficult to have only the sky and part of that roof. So I have more of them, but I like that series because the colors fit well together. Although they are complementary almost. Like blue and white, you know, and blue and so on. And for my pleasure, I don't sell them. or sometimes, yeah, for magazines. But I do some wildlife photography and bird photography for my pleasure. So I did make some workshops that I offered to people around to make photographs of mooses in forest. And this is my car. And that moose was very curious, but I had food in my car. So it certainly smelt it. And I had a 200 millimeter lens, you know, to make that photograph. So I was not very far, but I was surprised to see it going into sneaking into my window. You see, my window is down, is open. So it was sneaking in my car, but because of he could not enter his head, he did not eat my lunch. I have series of snowy owl. So one guy, for example, I just delivered him this series of 4 of those photographs. I like that one. It's like if it is laughing at us. I have also plenty of puffins photographs, so I have also a series about these. And some of the photos I take just 400 feet from my home in this natural reserve that is
Nice.
in my neighborhood.
Can you go back two pictures, 2 images? What are those?
Those are the
Oh,
legs.
yeah, I can see it now. They're the legs of a bird.
Yes.
You got
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Exactly. Only that detail. In fact, those are the legs of that bird. If you can, you can recognize it here.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that one, which is very special, I was there, and during 1 hour, that turtle, she had 7 eggs. And so I took several pictures, and one of them had an award, because that's rare that we can photograph that. So that gives you an idea of what I do, the kind of photograph I do. So the lesson I learned from the pandemic is that I had to become less dependent upon the tourist cycles to keep having an important revenues from my business, and be less dependent also upon art galleries. So I have decided to add corporate clients. I do have a large network of contacts in that world. So I will work on that seriously once the pandemic will be completely over. I built my transactional website. The first one I have is not transactional. So now I can sell, I will be able to sell directly to clients. I have become less dependent upon workshops because of the pandemic. So I have done some online classes and webinars, like for the North American Nature Photographers Association, but also for local club, photo clubs and so on. I have kept selling digital licenses. The business on that side has remained the same. From an artistic point of view, that's a challenge, you know, to evolve from post-processing individual photographs to post-processing a series of photographs, because they have to be more homogeneous in their tonalities, colors, framing, the size of your main topic with regards to the frame, to the whole scene, that kind of thing. It's very, very interesting, and I truly believe that I have improved my capabilities as a photographer by doing so. And it's also a marketing challenge, because now I am going to do more direct business and business to business marketing, online and physical marketing. So it's a different business than trying to sell to individuals. And as I said, I will use my large list of contacts to build that new business. So cool. I'm not giving up completely, you know, for art galleries. I will continue to sell in art galleries, but I want to be less dependent upon them. And
are your images limited, or are they open edition?
They are limited editions. The small ones, like the ones in the
boxes.
frames, my Four Seasons frames, and my wooden box, they are 6 by 9 inches. So they are what I call miniature, and they are open editions. But all the other ones larger than 11 by 14 are limited editions.
How big is the edition?
Up to 12 by 18, it's maximum of 15 prints.
1.5?
Yes. Up to, and then between 12 by 18, up from there, up to 24 by 30, it's 10 prints. And larger than 24 by 30, it's 5 prints. And one of the things that helps me a lot in selling is when people learn that I do my own printing. Because, you know, sometimes they say, well, everybody is able to make a photograph. You just shoot. It takes 2 seconds. And then you send it to Walmart and you have it printed. Then I explain them when you print large, every default will show. And I do my own printing. I use the best canvas and the best papers possible, archival quality. It's almost as much work to print than making the photographs and so on. And when I sell you a photograph, it's my own work, 100%. I sign it manually. That's my own work. It's not a teamwork with Wilco or Walmart. It's my work. And that convinces them most of the time to pay for the print.
Great. Well, I want to thank you, Yvan, for joining us today. This has been informative and fun, entertaining, and great images. Got a lot of nice comments in the chat for you there.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Does anyone else have anything they want to ask or add before we close up? Quiet crew. Well, just a reminder that I'm going.
I appreciate it very much. Very informative.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers, John.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Very good.